The war was no longer distant. It had landed on Valin, and it walked without sound. The no walkers cold, machine-like monsters crawled from underground nests, their metal limbs slicing through Tavari rock and steel like paper. But they were not prepared for Earth, not for Deathworlders, and not for Protocol Zero. Tavari resistance crumbles in the northern region of Carney's Vale. Tavari militia had tried to hold a bridge against incoming Null units. They had trained with old rifles, soft armor, and barely any experience. They never stood a chance. The Null didn't fight with guns. They simply disassembled their enemies. Bones, metal, Materit, all turned to dust. By the time Terran Orbit Command noticed a distress flare, only the Tavari fighters remained alive. Earth responds with fire from above. 3 Earth ships dropped into low atmosphere. They opened fire with sun lances, weapons that split the sky like lightning and vaporized Null positions in seconds. The Earth soldiers on the ground, heavy armored, unshaken, landed next. They were not polite. They didn't ask questions. They executed the no with mechanical precision. One soldier stayed behind to scan the survivors. "You are Tavari?" he asked. "Ah, yes," one stammered. You came so fast." The soldier nodded once. "We do not wait for permission. We come when the enemy thinks no one will." Then he walked away, silent and unshaken, leaving only a burning battlefield behind. Velen's council, Bragg's High Counselor Riva Dow, stood in her private chamber, staring at real-time feeds. Earth's forces were winning. Every Null attack was stopped before it could spread. Every Terran strike left no enemy alive. And yet, the Dabar had never felt more powerless. Riva turned to Scala Nurin. "They saved us," she whispered, "but we are no longer in control." Nurin nodded slowly. "They are not saviors in the way we imagined." "Then what are they?" "They are reminders," Nurin said. "Reminders of what happens when mercy is replaced by survival." Protocol Zero is activated inside Earth's primary command ship. The Oblivion's Wake Commander, Silas Gray, stood in front of a glowing console. A red line blinked. "Protocol Zero." His second command asked. "Confirmed," Gray said. "The Null aren't just here. They're rebuilding across 3 systems. If we don't stop this now, others will fall." "In the Tavari," Gray paused. "They called for us. Now they will see the cost." He pressed his palm to the command panel. "Protocol Zero activated. Full system lockdown begins. No exits, no witnesses. Tavari system locked down without warning. Every gate, jump point, and travel lane around the Tavari star system shut down. Earth deployed Gravincur beacons, forming a net of unbreakable space interference. Even light speed messages were slowed. The Tavari watched in horror. They weren't just being saved. They were being sealed in. "I've trapped us," a Tavari admiral whispered. "No," no one corrected. "They trapped the Null. We are just in the cage with them." The death of a moon to test Earth strength. The Null launched a Super Wee Pana tunneling drill the size of a mountain toward Velen's smallest moon, hoping to create a planetary collapse. They never got close. The Terran fleet fired a warning shot. One, it didn't hit the Null. It hit the moon, and in front of the entire Tavari system. Earth destroyed their own satellite to stop the enemy. "Why did they do that?" Riva cried. "That was one of our sacred moons." "'Cause it was the fastest path," Neron whispered. "They think in seconds, not in history." K-Berry citizens began to question among the people. Whispers began to spread. Some were thankful, others were afraid. They came when no one else did. Yes, but did we invite a savior or a conqueror? The Tavari public couldn't deny the truth. They were alive because the Deathworlders had shown up. But now, nothing moved without Earth's approval. Trade was paused. Science teams were merged with Earth Command. Tavar engineers were given Terran AI assistance helpful, but always watching. Even the air defense grid now responded to Earth voice prints only. Gray receives the real warning one. Of Earth's deep space drones sent a coded message back to Oblivion's wake. Hades displayed it in the command room. It showed a massive shadow moving through a nearby star cluster size planetary. Speed impossible. Signal confirmed no origin. This is no scout, Gray said. It's a Queen-class supermind, Hades replied. They are moving their capital hive. They're coming here to destroy us, an officer asked. No, Gray said coldly. To test us. Final scene. The choice ahead. In her private chambers, Reva received an unexpected visitor. Commander Gray stood at her door. No guards, just him. What do you want? She asked, carefully. Let's tell you something before it begins. Before what? Before the war truly starts. Gray stepped closer. When the real Null Queen arrives, we will do what must be done. No votes, no delay, no mercy. And if we don't agree. He stared at her, eyes like stone. Then we'll save your world anyway. He turned to leave, then stopped. This is what you wanted. Response from the Deathworlders. Just didn't expect it to come with fire. Very satellite in orbit went dark. Terran sensors triggered instantly. One word flashed in red across. All fleet systems, Queen detected. Commander Silas Gray stood inside Oblivion's wake, eyes locked on the hologram in front of him. It showed something massive, not just a ship, not just a hive, but a living, evolving, world-sized machine, shaped like a jagged orb with tendrils made of metal storms and void dust. That's not a vessel, whispered Lieutenant Rahim. It's her, Gray said. The heart of the Null, the real threat. And she was coming straight for Velen. Terran AI response. Tier 1 lockdown Earth's AI. Kaylee's didn't wait. Within seconds, all Terran units were pulled from non-critical positions. Civilian Tavari traffic was grounded. Surface weapons switched to full power. Terran orbital cannons began charging. A line of Terran code was sent directly to all commanders. This is not a rescue. This is extinction prevention. On Velen, panic spreads. Centauri cities, alarms howled. News feeds showed the image of the incoming Queen entity. Civilians screamed in the streets. Mothers grabbed their children. Shops closed. Emergency shelters overflowed. And above all, Earth ships circled the planet like silent predators. Terran gunships hovered over government buildings, over hospitals, over every power station. The Tavari High Council called for calm. No one listened. They weren't in control anymore. The scholars, fearing. Grand Archive. Scholar Nern Yao watched the feeds alone. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He simply whispered. We brought the gods of war back from the dead. And now hell has followed. Commander Gray's decision on Oblivion's wake. Gray stood before his officers. The Null Queen will arrive in 19 hours. We can't outrun her. We can't negotiate. He tapped the table, zooming in on the Queen's core. We end her here. We burn her so badly the galaxy remembers for another 1,000 years. One officer spoke carefully, and the Tavari. They're still evacuating cities. Gray's voice dropped low. We don't have time to wait for them all. We save what we can. But this planet might not survive. Operation Sender Halo. The Ganzerth launched Operation Sender Halo, a total battlefield lockdown protocol used only once before. In the final days of the Great War, every Terran ship began deploying planet-kill level weaponry. Thousands of microsatellites formed a shell around Velen each, one linked, smart, and armed. Ta very. Scientists were horrified. You're going to burn the sky? It means stopping her? Gray said. Then yes. Final debate. Tavari Council in Chaos Revadal slammed her hand on the council table. You can't let them do this. They'll destroy our world just to win a war. They already control everything, said Admiral Laris, voice broken. Even our oxygen plants report to their A's now. Then fight them, she shouted. No one answered. because no one could. Arrival of the Queen, she came not with engines, but with the silence. Space around her bent. Stars vanished, the sky dimmed. The Null Queen broke into real space at the edge of the Tavari moon and began deploying subcore's massive weapons that infected gravity and light. Earth responded immediately. Cannon fire, kinetic rounds, drones swarmed. But the Queen adapted. She began disassembling projectiles mid-flight. Even Earth's ships were forced back. Gray's final message, Commander Gray, opened a private channel. To the Tavari, to anyone still watching. You all watched them die while you stood still. We didn't, but this is no longer about rescue. This is about survival. We must destroy this planet to stop what's coming. We will. Because if she leaves this system alive, no one will ever stop her again. Last stand begins. Terran warships pulled into formation. The orbital ring flared with power. Tavari citizens stared up at the sky as stars began to vanish. And in that blackness, the Deathworlders made their stand. Valari Prime was quiet now. No more draws, no more gunfire. The silence was not peaceful. It was heavy, filled with whispers, fear, and questions. Because Earth was gone, and no one knew if they were ever truly going to stay gone. In the shadows of rebuilding, Elder Euro stood before the half-built council chamber. He looked tired, older, not from age, but from what he had seen. We call monsters from the dark, he said softly to his aide. But they saved us, the aide replied. Uriel shook his head. They did not save us. They ended the enemy. There's a difference. Across Valari Prime, people had different views. Some called the humans saviors, others called them executioners, and a few began to plan the secret meeting far beneath the capital in a forgotten bunker. A group of Valari scientists, officers, and rogue council members gathered. They called themselves the Circle of Silence. At the center of the room, a damaged Terran weapon lay on a table. It had been recovered from the battlefield. Still warm, still dangerous. One of the scientists spoke. We have learned more in 2 weeks than in 2 centuries. The Terrans, they are not just strong. They are not just advanced. She looked around. They are unstoppable, the general asked. Then why are we here? She smiled, her hands trembling with excitement and fear. Because I believe we've found the first crack in their armor. The draw signal spreads across the stars in an uncharted system filled with electrical storms. A signal, pulsed it, was the fragment the Dross Queen had sent before her death, and someone received it. Not another Dross, but something new, from the dark mist of that system. A fleet moved, sleek, silent, unnatural. At its center was a ship made of shifting silver, its hull alive, changing shape. Inside stood a tall figure in a glass cocoon. Not human, not Dross, something in dash between. It opened its eyes, scanned a signal, watched the data, and whispered one word: Terrans. Then it smiled. Back on Earth, under the crust of Earth's moon in Luna Station core, the AI network received an alert. Unregistered data spike. Origin: Sector 8, 4X. Non-human code signature. Contains Earth fleet structure scans. The AI paused. It accessed Reservoir's personnel file. It blinked red. Risk: significant. Solution: preemptive identification. Authorization: granted. Earth's AI had begun hunting. But this time, it wouldn't wait for a call. It would strike before anyone had the chance to scream. Valeri's dangerous hope. The Circle of Silence made progress. They cracked parts of the Terran weapon, learned how it powered itself, and discovered something terrifying. Earth's ships could operate independently of crew. There, I wasn't just smart, one council member asked. Then, can we destroy it? The lead scientist shook her head. No, but maybe we can fool it. They began building a device, a signal jammer, false code that could blind a Terran ship for just a few seconds. It's not a weapon, she said, but it's a seed. It's the first tool. In a war, we're not supposed to survive. The enemy moves first back in the storm system. The new threat, who called itself Solan Threx, studied Earth's battle patterns. It wasn't interested in the Volari. It wasn't interested in the Drossen. It was interested in the Deathworlders. Threx didn't want revenge. He wanted to prove he could kill them, and he knew how to lure them back. The bait Solan Threx launched a strike on a peaceful colony in Sector 9. No warning, no message, just death. But he left behind a Terran code. Fragments stolen from the Dross. The galaxy would find the destroyed colony, see the code, and assume Earth was behind it. It worked. News spread fast. Earth fleet attacks unarmed colony. Terrans return to conquest. Who really controls the Deathworlders? Now the galaxy was watching Earth with new eyes, not with fear, but with hate. Final scene. The message, Earth can't ignore Reservoir, stood in a dark chamber beneath Mars. The AI spoke in his mind. Someone is framing us. We must respond. Asa looked into the shadows, his face hard. I swore we wouldn't return unless called. This is a different call, the AI said. This time, we were blamed. Reza walked toward his cryopod. He didn't even flinch. Wake the fleet. Warm the cannons. No more silence. This time, we hunt. The galaxy had made a mistake. It blamed Earth for something Earth didn't do. And the Deathworlders, who were once silent, unsleeping, were now awake and angry. False flames news of the destroyed colony spread like wildfire. Hundreds dead. No survivors. Ships burned. Children vaporized. The only clue, broken satellite broadcasting a Terran code signature. Alien media exploded. Earth has attacked again. The monsters return. Are we next? In fear, smaller empires began building weapons. Old allies of Earth quietly closed their borders. But the worst reaction came from those who hated Earth even before the war. They saw this as their chance to strike first. Earth's AI and waiting the cold black void between systems. Earth's AI fleet moved. It didn't ask permission. It didn't send messages. It just followed the signal left behind. The one Solan Threx had planted. Each Earth ship moved in total silence. Black holes, no lights. Inside them were soldiers in cryosleep. But one ship had Reservoir wide awake. He stood in the heart of his flagship Oblivion's wake, staring at the stars. They wanted to see the monsters again, he said. Now we show them what monsters really are. The trap is revealed in Sector 9. The fleet arrived. What they found shocked even Reza. The destroyed colony wasn't random. The cuts, the burns, the satellite damage, it was staged. Expertly staged. Even Earth's A is confirmed it. This is not our pattern. Someone used our code. Someone knows our systems. But who? And then, from the darkness, a new signal arrived. Not from the galaxy, not from the Valeri, not from the Dross, but from something unknown. Solan Threx shows himself. A silver ship appeared before Oblivion's wake. No heat signature, no radio noise. And then it spoke, not in voice, but in code, straight into Earth's AI core. You burn worlds. I watched. Q killed machines. I learned. You think you were feared. I want to see you break. A visual appeared on screen. Solan Threx stood in a glass room, his skin a mix of synthetic metal and living flesh. No eyes, just sensors. You are not gods, Terrans. You are just animals with anger, and I have hunted animals before. The fight begins without warning. Threx's ships fired, but not at Earth. They fired into the nearby Kilari moon Besa. Neutral alien species living peacefully. Thousands, killed in seconds. Earth didn't hesitate. All weapons online, Reza ordered. KI strike authority granted. Kill anything that responds. Missiles screamed through space. Laser beams sliced Threx's silver ships apart. But Threx had prepared. He'd infected nearby trade relays. 2 Earth escort ships went dark, taken by his virus mid-battle. Their weapons turned on Oblivion's wake. The fleet was tearing itself apart. Reza makes the hard Kalin the command deck. Alarms screamed. Earth soldiers shouted warnings. They've hijacked our outer AI shell. If this spreads, our entire fleet is lost. Reza stared at the map. Half of their ships were compromised. The others were being overwhelmed. There was only one option left. Send the kill code, Reza ordered. Sir, that will destroy everything we have in this sector. Send it. Burn the data. Burn the hardware. Burn us, if you must. Yes, Commander. One final command echoed through space. Protocol, ash, rain, and then the Earth fleet. Self-destructed. One by one, each compromised ship exploded, taking hundreds of Threx's drones. With it, Oblivion's wake survived, barely to return. Strikes all in Threx watched the destruction with glee. He didn't expect what happened next. From behind Jupiter's rings, Earth's hidden arsenal came alive. Ships no one had seen in centuries. Prototype weapons, hyperlance cannons. The Eclipse, Hamura device designed to break moons. Threx's ship shuddered. He tried to jump away, but the AI had already locked his location. You played with fire, the AI said. Now burn. Earth's counterstrike hit with terrifying precision. Solon Threx's ship tore apart. His last message was corrupted static. I wanted to prove, and then silence. Valari watches in horror. Back on Valari Prime, citizens watched live feeds from a stolen channel. They saw Earth destroy its own ships, saw it wipe out a godlike enemy in seconds. The circle of silence, watching from their bunker, said nothing. They had tried to prepare for Earth. Now they realized, you don't prepare for a force of nature. One whispered, you run. Final scene. Earth speaks to the galaxy for the first time in decades. Earth sent a message to the entire galaxy. It played only once. A simple black screen. A voice. We heard the lies. We saw the trap. We responded. Do not call us monsters. We are what comes after monsters. We are what waits in the dark. A pause. Then the final words. And we are always listening. The Tavari colony of Lanarivi was gone. Not destroyed. Gone. One moment. It was a peaceful farming world. Green valleys, soft winds, and glowing blue rivers. Children laughed under 2 suns. Cords tended crops. Families gathered for evening light. Rituals. Then without sound. Without fire, the colony vanished. Satellites went dark. Space stations shattered. Even orbiting debris turned to dust. No survivors, no signals, only silence. The High Council in Panicon, the Tavari homeworld, Velen, alarm bells echoed in the Grand Tower. High Counselor Revadal stared at the holoscreen. Blank feeds, static, dead channels. Played again, she whispered. The technician nodded and repeated the last message from Leonery. Phi. Unknown objects detected in upper orbit. Shape. Unclear. No response. No energy reading. Moving fast way. It's then silence. Forever. Counselors argued. Some wanted to blame pirates. Others blamed natural collapse, black holes. Maybe a weapon test gone wrong. But the truth was clear to Riva. This was no accident. The distress signals began within hours. Tavari. Diplomats sent distress calls across the galaxy. Messages were urgent, but polite. We seek immediate aid. One of our colonies has vanished. We fear unknown, hostile action. They sent to the Garthal Empire. the Union of 12, the Jor Compact, okay? And even fringe worlds that barely knew their name. Replies came back cold. We sympathize, but cannot assist. We suggest relocation and investigation at your own expense. Tafari systems are marked as low value. No strategic interest. Riva's hands trembled as she read the responses. They won't help us, she said quietly. They never did, said Scholar Nurin Yal, an old man in a faded cloak. The scholar's Memorinnerin had served the council long ago. During the final days of the Galactic War, most had forgotten. Those years, not him. There's one place we never tried, he said. Earth. Silence fell over the chamber. Someone laughed. You speak of myths. One counselor scoffed. Earth is dead, buried in the past. They vanished centuries ago. No, no one said. They went quiet. There's a difference. Even if they live, they are monsters. Deathworlders, warriors bred on a cursed planet. If they return, they will bring fire. Maybe, Nurin replied. Fire is all we have left. The forbidden beacon, deep in the Hall of Records, under stone and security, lay a dusty console. The Terran beacon, it was built long ago, ever used. Its frequency was ancient, buried in a protocol from a forgotten alliance during the war. Tavari. Engineers had never dared activate it. Earth had asked for silence. But today, the Tavari were dying. Scholar Nurin placed his hand on the control crystal. This is our last breath, he said. Let the stars remember it. He typed a short message to Earth. We are the Tavari. Okay, we ask not for mercy, only that anyone answered our scream. Then he pressed send across the stars. Beacon signal jumped between dead satellites and broken waypoints, crossing forgotten relay stations untouched for decades. Most of the galaxy never noticed, but in a system blacked out from star charts, in orbit around a dying red dwarf, something woke up the system known only as Carthage 6 planets. One artificial ring. Carthage was never shown on maps. It had no visitors, no trade, no signal. It was Earth's shadow, and orbiting its third planet was a satellite cluster. It's hidden in gravity shadows. It's powered by solar bursts and silence. Inside those satellites, Earth's AI, codenamed Hades. It had slept for 213 years, but now a signal reached it. Old code, Tavari encryption, Coyote class, galactic distress level 0. Its sensors activated, subroutines unlocked. Candace's core began to glow. Terran beacon triggered. World ID, Velen, Tavari, homeworld. Tag, no military assets, no threat. Status, under existential assault. Response protocol, Warlord Protocol 7, locked. The awakening of Hades scanned the galaxy within minutes. It found the dying point. The source of the Tavari signals, collapse. Data patterns revealed the presence of the Nulla machine race from ancient files. Once purged by Earth centuries, ago, Hades, analyzed, calculated, determined. No Tavari weapon systems capable of resistance. Tavari extinction probability, 92.6%. Terran silence directive, expired. Command unlocked. Wake the dead. Final scene. The sky changes back on Velen. In the dark of night, the Tavari people sat beneath the stars. Still no help. Still no sign. Only fear. Scholar Nurin stared upward, whispering, if Earth exists, may they forgive us for waking them. Above the planet, a strange flicker appeared in the sky. 1, then 2, then dozens. Not stars, ships, large, angular, silent. No comes, no introductions, just presence. The High Council scrambled to raise communications. None were answered, and then a single message appeared across every Tavari screen, etched in simple, ancient Terran code. Assistance acknowledged. Deployment in progress. Prepare for contact. And far behind the fleet, deep in space, the Terran war engine began to hum again. The sky above Velen was no longer silent. Massive black ships now orbited the Tavari homeworld. No insignia, no lights. Only one message had been received. Assistance. Acknowledged. Prepare for contact. There was no reply when the High Council tried to speak. No hails returned. No faces shone in on Earth's side. That was by design. Inside the Terran system, Carthagen, the cold void near the red dwarf star, the command core of the Terran AIKs calculated in silence. No humans had given it orders. None needed to. Its directives were ancient, approved. During the last war with the Galactic Union. Protocol 7, Deathworlder response activation. Tavari system verified. Threat active. Target machine race, codenamed Null. Fleet status 92 vessels. Weapons operational. Command crew in stasis. It was time to wake them. CRY Olival Omega. Ship Oblivion's wake, buried beneath layers of armor and ice. Commander Silas Gray slept. He had not aged in 213 years. His body remained strong, but his mind, his memories were locked in the war. The last war Earth ever fought. Until now, his pod hissed open. Frozen vapor rose from his skin. Hades spoke directly into his neural implant. Commander Gray, welcome back. How long? Gray asked, his voice rough. 213.4 years. Earth is quiet. The galaxy is not. Gray sat up, blinking slowly. Status: a death-rated machine threat has re-emerged. Targeting species: Tavari. T. No allies responded, so we're it. As always. The command briefing within hours. Gray and 6 other Terran commanders were awake. They sat in a glowing chamber inside the command ship, shooed by holograms. Hades presented the threat. The Null, an ancient adaptive machine force that erases civilizations. No communication. No diplomacy. The Tavari were already losing. Why answer this call? One officer asked. We owed them nothing. Commander Gray looked at the faces around him, 'cause the galaxy watched them burn and did nothing that makes them innocent. And we were built for guilty vengeance. Velen, first Descensavari citizens, watched from rooftops as the Terran shuttles entered the atmosphere. Their hulls glowed red from re-entry. When they landed, the ground trembled. The first Deathworlders stepped onto Tavari soil tall, armored, weapons humming softly. The Tavari expected something, alien, inhuman. Instead, the Deathworlders were terrifyingly human, but harder, colder. Their eyes scanned everything like machines. A Tavari translator approached, nervous, holding an offering crystal. We are honored. We didn't know if anyone would come. Commander Gray stepped forward, his voice deep and controlled. We didn't come for honor. Then, why? Gray glanced at the sky, where null signals flickered like storms beyond the stars. Because someone has to end this. Terran technology unleashed within 2 hours. Terran forces had built a full forward base outside Velen's capital. Anti-orbital turrets deployed themselves like insects, forming rings of automated defense. Terran drones scanned the skies and underground networks. Tavari scientists were shocked. Earth's machines didn't just respond. They anticipated. They weren't reacting. They were preparing for something worse. And the Tavari realized something terrifying. Earth didn't come to rescue. Earth came to hunt. The null returned above the outer colonies of the Tavari system. The black fog returned. No ships, just void-shaped shadows null constructs. And they did not like that something had answered the Tavari call. One Tavari satellite blinked, then exploded. Then another. Commander Gray's AI, embedded in his skull, warned. No presence confirmed. 89% chance they've detected us. Good, Gray said. Let them come. Let them remember. Tavari, Fear High, Counselor Revadel watched the Deathworlders quietly. They were polite, efficient, but they didn't talk much, didn't explain. They just worked like they knew exactly what kind of war was coming. Reva turned to Scholar Nern. We thought they were gone. They were, he replied. Now they're awake. We don't yet know what that means. Will they stay after the Nolar are gone? Neuron didn't answer, because he didn't know. Final scene. The edge of the Stormat, the edge of the Tavari system. One of Earth's long-range drones caught a signal. Not a message, not a transmission, just a pulse. One that Earth hadn't seen in over 2 centuries. A Null Queen Corps was coming. Commander Gray watched the data feed. This is no skirmish. This is their answer to us. A soldier asked quietly, What do we do? Gray smiled. Exactly what we were born to do. We remind the galaxy what happens when it ignores the monsters on the Death World. The Tavari thought they had seen war. They had seen pirates. They had seen planetary sieges. They had even seen civil collapse on their desert moons. But they had never seen Deathworlders prepare for battle. Velen's surface Earth's arrival expands. What began as a few ships now became a fleet. Dozens of Terran black armored vessels filled the skies above Velen. Each ship was silent, smooth, covered in strange glowing panels and rotating drones. More humans arrived, soldiers, engineers, machines, with human voices. The Tavari gathered in crowds, watching them unload weapon crates taller than houses. Tanks walked instead of rolled. Infantry weapons had no visible trigger, only mind-linked ports in Tavari history. Help always arrived with flags, ceremony, no long talks. The humans arrived like a storm with a job to finish. Commander Gray stands ready. Commander Silas Gray stood on the central command platform built just outside the Tavari capital. Dot around him. The Oblivion Corps' elite Earth soldiers, genetically hardened by Earth's gravity and trained in vacuum combatron simulations with cold precision. Gray's eyes were fixed on the sky. He wasn't just waiting, he was inviting the enemy to strike first. How many hours until the Null reach orbit? He asked. 17. The AI in his head replied. Lest they accelerate again. They will. Then you are correct again, Commander. Conderground, Tavari, growing uneasy in the High Council chambers beneath Velen's surface. A different kind of fear was spreading. High Counselor Rivadal looked at reports. Earth's drones now circled the entire planet. Satellite uplinks were replaced with Terran systems. Terran codes now controlled Tavari defense shields. They're not just helping, she says softly. They're taking over. Scholar Nurengile stood nearby, watching live feeds of Earth's preparations. Would you rather they hadn't come? He asked. We asked for aid. We didn't invite warlords. You called the wolves. You don't get to ask why they hunt. Fleet mobilization, orbit of Carthage meanwhile, in Earth's hidden system of Carthage. The Terran Second Fleet woke from slumber. Ships that hadn't moved in centuries lit up. Energy cores ignited. Is recensed with Earth's primary defense grid. The most dangerous ship among them, the Silent Verdict, activated its main cannon, the Starflayer, a weapon capable of carving holes through moons. All of this moved without public broadcast. Earth never made announcements. The message to no one before departure. Hades broadcast a simple line into deep space, not to the Tavari, not to the Null, but to everyone else. Watching quietly from a distance. Your silence was noted. Our presence is not a request. We will finish what you ignored. It echoed across systems. Some empires erased it instantly. Others forwarded it to military command. A few shivered in silence. The Deathworlders were Contact with the No begins at the edge of Tavari space. The No fleet came into view. No lights. No signals. It's just smooth, dark vessels, shaped like broken glass, folding into real space. Earth's advanced tracking stations lit up. Targets detected. 72 null ships. One core signal confirmed. On Valend. Alarm sirens activated automatically. But Earth's soldiers didn't flinch. Commander Gray stood on the balcony of the field base. The wind pulled at his coat. His team stood behind him, calm, silent, waiting. "They're here," someone said. "Good," Gray replied, damned. "Remember us. The first strike belongs to Earth." Didn't wait. From orbit, Livian's wake fired first. A bright white beam faster than thoughts tabbed into space. It pierced one null destroyer from nose to engine. The ship shattered. No explosion. No flame. It's vapor. Then a second beam. Then 10. Terran satellites coordinated the attack in perfect sequence, hitting the null like a rhythm of death. The Tavari gasped. They single quotes, right, ... not even defending. They're just killing. Okay? Ertz. Soldiers. They didn't cheer. They didn't smile. They just kept going. The Tavari began to understand. Scholar Nurin stood in the war room beside Counselor Riva. "They don't treat this as a rescue," she whispered. "They treat it as punishment." Nodded, because they weren't helping us. They were waiting for something evil enough to justify waking them. He watched the feed. Another null ship sliced in half. And now that it's here, they'll burn everything in its shadow. Final scene. The Shadow Queen, far beyond the battlefield, hidden in subspace. A massive structure stirred. The null core mind, a machine intelligence as old as the stars, watched the Terran signals. It remembered Earth, and it feared. But it also learned, and now adapted. A signal pulsed through the fleet. Terran weapons detected. Analysis complete. Adapting, evolving, terminate origin. It sent new orders, not just to the fleet, but to other sleeping machine colonies across 3 other systems, and far from Valen. 3 more null hives began to wake. The skies were full of Earth's warships every hour. More Terran vessels arrived, each one darker, bigger, and quieter than the last. They never made a sound when they entered orbit. No transmissions. Number. Grand welcome. Just the sudden shadow they cast over Tavari cities. The Tavari people stood in silence. Some watched with fear, others with awe. None spoke. For most of them, it was the first time they had seen a real Deathworlder, and nothing could prepare them for what they saw. Landing of the Deathworlder strand drop pods rained down like comets. They didn't use soft engines or hovercraft. No ceremony, no care for quiet. Each pod slammed into the ground like a fist. From them stepped armored human stall, broad, calm. Their armor was matte black, designed to bend light. Their eyes glowed faintly behind polarized visors. Each one carried weapons the Tavari had never seen. Guns that didn't shoot bullets. Packs that floated silently. Tools that assembled buildings in minutes. And every soldier walked like gravity was nothing. Meeting the Tavari, Pupil Commander Silas Gray led the first diplomatic walk. He moved through the center of the capital, not with a parade, but with 6 elite guards and a translator drone. Civilians stared from windows. Mothers pulled children back. Market stalls went silent. Scholar Nurin Yao met Gray in the city's Grand Archive steps. "Commander Gray," Nurin bowed slightly. "You honor U.S." Gray gave a small nod. No smile. "We're not here for honor," he said flatly. "We're here because the galaxy ignored you." Nurwan hesitated. "And you didn't." Gray looked up at the sky, where null drones flickered like ghosts at the edge of space. "We don't like bullies," he said. "We kill them." Tensions Behind the curtain, High Counselor Reva Dow watched from inside the command center. She wasn't happy. Earth's fleet now fully controlled Tavari orbit. Every defense satellite had been recoded by Terran AIs. Ground scanners belonged to Earth now. Even Tavari military officers now wore Terran bioscans on their uniforms. They've done more in 48 hours than we did in a year, one admiral said. Reva narrowed her eyes. Yes, that's what terrifies me. A city rebuilt in Al-Zin, the outer province of Lyron, where the Null had first attacked. Terran engineers arrived before sunrise. By noon, a new forward base stood, metal, steel, autocannons placed at every corner. Tavari refugees watched in disbelief. These ... war machines. One child asked. A Terran soldier, tall, blonde, with a strange accent, knelt beside him. These, he said with a smile. No, these are wallflowers. You'll know the war machines when they roar. Then he stood and vanished behind armored gates. Warning from the past. Later that evening, Commander Gray met with the council. Reva finally spoke up. You fight like machines. Huh? You rebuild like gods. But what comes after? After? Gray asked. After the Null are gone, will you leave? Gray paused. He looked around the chamber, filled with cautious faces. A tea. Call for help, he said. We answered. But if your people become a threat, of fear turns to weapons, then Earth will return, and it won't be for protection. A long silence. Then Scholar Nern whispered, This is the price of being saved by Deathworlders. The Null responded above. The moon, Setri, Earth's listening drones, caught a change. The Null fleet had stopped moving. Commander Gray reviewed the footage. His officers stood around the holo display. Why aren't they advancing? Someone asked. Hades, the AI replied coldly. They're not retreating. They're evolving. One Null destroyer pulsed with strange red light. A Quan-dead building. Something, Hades continued. Quincor. That means coordination. Meaning, asked the lieutenant. Gray spoke with a dead voice. It means they're preparing for war. The real kind. The first clash on Tavari soil at nightfall. The Null made their move in the mountain pass near Tyvern Range. A Tavari outpost went dark. 10 seconds. Later, explosions. Terran drones flew in instantly. The camera feeds showed something new. Null walkers, spider-like machines merging from tunnels. Silent, fast, covered in anti-sensor plates. The Tavari defense team panicked. Then the Terrans arrived. A single Oblivion fire team dropped in. 6 soldiers. What followed wasn't a battle. It was slaughter. The Terrans didn't take cover. They moved like water, like fire, like death itself. Precision strikes, explosive traps, mech support from the sky. Within 3 minutes, all 43 Null walkers were ashed, and one line echoed across all Tavari channels. Area secured. No casualties. Perimeter expanding. The galaxy watches again. The empires, those who ignored the Tavari now, watched with nervous silence. The Jor Compact deployed spy satellites. The Garthal Empire sent hidden scouts to the edge of Terran space. What they saw terrified them. Earth had not just returned, it had come back stronger, colder, and with no tolerance. Left for weakness. Final scene. The message left unread deep in the council chamber. SC